Craig J sent me this story, and let me tell you something right now. I had to get out a big burst of laughter after reading the title, because it's like one of those things where you say you gotta laugh to keep from crying or keep from being mad. That's all I could do with this situation right here. So, as many of you know, a lot of right-wing people are protesting right now because they feel like their civil liberties are being encroached upon in the midst of this virus. So, Stephen Moore, who is this guy right here, who is the he might as well just be one of them right-wing people his damn self. He decided to come out and make a comment or a statement that just made me like burst into laughter when I read it. I couldn't even be that upset, because I'm not surprised he said something like that. So Stephen Moore compared the protesters, who pretty much are all palm colored, because I haven't seen anybody else of any other group out there really protesting. He compared their little plight, if you want to call it that, to Rosa Parks. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, have you ever noticed that whenever something like this happens, well, this kind of virus, I've never experienced anything like this in my lifetime, but when something is infringing upon them and they decide to go out and protest, they love to compare their protest to that of something from the civil rights era. Mind you, they didn't like when black people protested then. They don't even like when black people protest now. But when they protest, they got to compare it to something from that era. They want to be oppressed so bad, it's not even funny. And then you got to ask yourself, why don't they ever compare their protest to something that the palm-colored people of the past did? They always got to compare it to what black people did, but they supposedly hate black people so much. So it's like, it's confusing. It's confusion. I tell you, the state of this decaying white supremacy, this palm-colored so-called supremacy, is not only decaying, but it's very confusing. It's like it doesn't know if it's going up, or if it's going down, or if it's going left, or if it's going right. But let me get into this. The largely white protesters who oppose social distancing measures to protect the public from the virus are like Rosa Parks, who waged a historic battle for racial equality. Right-wing economic commentator and White House advisor Stephen Moore repeatedly insisted Friday. I call these people modern-day Rosa Parks. He just compared a bunch of right-wing individuals who are protesting just to go outside and do whatever the hell they want to Rosa Parks. Are y'all hearing this? They are protesting against injustice and a loss of liberties, Moore told the Washington Post in one of at least 3 instances of this astonishing comparison. He also told CBS News, "It's interesting to me that the right has become more the Rosa Parks of the world than the left is." He said in a YouTube video quoted by the New York Times, "We need to be the Rosa Parks here and protest against these government injustices." I'm going to need Stephen Moore to go back and research Rosa Parks, because I'm almost certain that she was not protesting to just go outside. Like, he's trying to compare apples to oranges here. And he is reaching very, very hard here. They're not fighting for equality. That's what is. So that's the whole thing that is confusing to me. But see, the thing is, see how easy it was for him to reach back and pull out a black figure to make this comparison for. It was so easy for him to do, but he could not do that and pull a white person, a palm-colored person from back then to compare to this. But like I said, Stephen Moore is not the only person that does that. It's almost like their so-called leaders, heroes, whatever you want to call them, just ain't shit. But they hate ours or hate us, but want to use ours for this makeshift comparison that does not make a lick of sense. Moore is a member of 45's Back to Work Council and part of the coalition of conservative leaders called Save Our Country. I wouldn't be surprised if he said this so he can get black people to agree with him. I'm telling you this right now, Stephen Moore, it ain't working. I'm gonna need you want to try a little bit harder and go in a whole nother direction that actually equates to whatever it is that y'all are trying to accomplish, because this ain't it. working against business shutdowns and stay-at-home measures aimed at stemming the spread of the virus. He dropped out of consideration to serve on the Federal Reserve Board last year amid concerns about his qualifications and mounting opposition to his controversial comments about gender and race. He once quipped that 45's first act as president would be to kick a black family, the Obamas, out of the public housing, the White House. Now here you have a guy that wants to compare palm-colored people protesting, mainly all 45 supporters as far as I have seen so far, because I've been seeing a lot of MAGA hats. He wants to compare them to the modern day Rosa Parks. And then has this statement. He says that Trump's first act as president would be to kick a black family, the Obamas, out of public housing, the White House. He compared the White House to public housing because a black family was in it. That's what he said. Critics were furious that Moore equated protests against health safety measures to the fight against racial injustice sparked by a black activist icon who was arrested for refusing to give up her seat on the bus to a white passenger 65 years ago. I'm going to read to you what some of the tweets said. Unbelievable. Rosa Parks refused to move to the back of the bus to quietly protest institutional racism. Today's radicalized right-wing protests are brazen acts of lawless. I can't pronounce that word. I'm sorry. There are no unfettered rights in America's scheme of ordered liberty. Someone else said, hey, Stephen Moore, Rosa Parks is an icon, a symbol of the fight against oppression of an entire race. These people are upset because they can't get a haircut or go out to dinner. Two completely different things. #jackass. Someone else said, Rosa Parks was looking out for her fellow citizens. The right-wing activists protesting and disregarding stay-at-home orders and crowds without social distancing or masks are jeopardizing the health of friends, family, neighbors, and fellow citizens in their community. Moore's astounding claim was a part of a new onslaught against Democratic-led states fueled by the Trump campaign. The largest protest in Michigan on Wednesday was organized by the Michigan Conservative Coalition, which is also known as Michigan Trump Republicans, according to state incorporation papers, the Post reported. The group's leaders include longtime GOP insiders, according to the newspaper. And I'm going to go ahead and just stop reading. I'm going to stop reading right there because then it just goes into what happened in Michigan. But listen. Like I said, Stephen Moore is not the first, nor will he be the last person to actually write something like that and compare their so-called plights and complaints to that of actual real issues. But yeah, they're just mad because they can't go outside and do the stuff that they were already doing. I'm telling you, they are going to be the ones to lose it the most. They are going to be the ones to lose it the most. And like I said, in Detroit, well, in Michigan, their lockdown is all the way into the 16th of June. They're probably like one of the last states to end their lockdown, in their quarantine period. Like everyone else will probably be done and they'll still be under theirs. But yeah, Stephen Moore is a jackass for saying that and for making that very, very, very hefty and false comparison of Rosa Parks to what they got going on right now. There is no comparison. Those people are only out there for themselves. What happened with her affected an entire group of people. But like I said, why doesn't he or others who try to make these comparisons, why don't they ever pick one of their palm-colored leaders or faces to actually make this kind of comparison to? I'll tell you why. Because they can't. There aren't any. They hate us so much, but when they can find a way to insert a way in, they'll do it and bring up our people to try to push a point that, as far as I'm concerned, just fell completely on deaf ears. That thing was dead on arrival. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure you follow me on Twitter if you haven't done so already. Have your notifications turned on, and I'll talk to you in the next one.